You're listening to the international hit show, The Baby Names Podcast. And here are your hosts, the Moss Sisters.
I'm Jennifer Moss.
And I'm Mallory Moss-Katz.
And we're the founders of babynames.com.
And we're sisters, too.
We are.
Sisters.
I was just going to punch that in, but okay. You can sing. Our first segment is cool names that we've discovered since the last episode. And I'll go first. I pulled some cool names from the cast of Game of Thrones this week. I really like Emilia with the E spelling, and that's becoming more popular, I believe, because of Emilia Clarke, who plays Daenerys Targaryen, one of the more popular characters. Kit Harington's real name is Christopher Catesby Harington. Apparently, he was named after poet-playwright Christopher Marlowe, who went by Kit. So he did too. I think that is so adorbs. Nikolaj Coster-Waldau, who plays Jaime Lannister, spells his name the Dutch Slavic way with a J at the end, which is interesting. Conleth Hill, who plays Lord Varys the Eunuch. Conleth is an old Irish name meaning chaste fire. And I also love the name Carice. Carice Van Houten plays Melisande. Carice, not Clarice, is the Dutch version of the Greek name Charis, meaning grace and kindness. I am so looking forward to the final season.
Oh, yeah, me too. I can't wait. I got a magazine this week with Emilia and Kit on the cover.
Ooh, I want to see that. What mag is that?
Entertainment Weekly.
Woohoo! Okay, shout out to EW.
Yes, indeed. Okay, well, my best friends have two children named Tessa and Millie, and those aren't actually their real names. Those are their nicknames. Tessa is Teresa, and Millie is Emilia. So they have very traditional names, and then they use very untraditional nicknames.
Definitely. Miranda went by Millie for about 3 weeks in middle school.
Okay. Thoroughly modern Millie.
Yeah.
And then other little sisters of friends I know is Cornelia. I don't know. I mean, that's such an old Shakespearean name.
Yeah.
But you could go by Ely or Elia. And
I knew a Cornelia who went by Corny.
Corny? I don't know about that.
Yeah, girl. She did. Nobody thought anything of it.
Okay. Then there's the boy's name Avram. That's very old-fashioned. Yeah. Now, some of the names, these are kind of tragic of the recently victimized in Thousand Oaks, but I wanted to bring them up. Some of the names were Noel or Noel. It's Noel. She was a victim. And Alana. And then Telemachus was the survivor of the Las Vegas shooting, but then he unfortunately passed away in Thousand Oaks. But listen to this. His name means decisive battle in Greek.
Wow. Yeah.
Our hearts go out to them.
Yes, definitely. I love the name Telemachus. I first heard it when I started talking with a support rep on the phone, and his name was Telemachus, and I asked him all about his name. It kind of reminds me of Caractacus Potts,
right?
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
I know.
But it's a really unusual Greek name. So the topic of this week is names and gender. It's a big issue, and so we'll cover as much as we can in this episode, but obviously we won't be able to cover everything.
It sure is. We get many, many emails about particular names and their gender designations, probably more so than about any other topic.
We sure do. And gender identity has been at the forefront of the media for at least the past 5 or 10 years, so this is important. Parents nowadays are having even gender reveal parties where they don't even know the gender until confetti comes out of a balloon or they cut into a cake.
How does that work? We didn't have those things in our day.
No, he didn't. I had to ask our community manager, Allison, because we didn't have them back in our day, and she explained it to me. Allison just got married, by the way. Congratulations to her.
Yes, mazel tov to Allison and Barack.
So she said the ultrasound tech puts the results in an envelope and the couple brings it to the baker or the balloon maker or piñata person or whomever is making the device that will reveal the gender. I think I would have had balloons with confetti. I don't like cake, so that's how I would have done it.
Oh, that's cool. I would have done it with a guy popping out of a cake. Woohoo! And people are so interested in gender. It's one of the first things people ask an expecting parent. Do you know what you're having?
Yeah, and it's perfectly fine to say a baby. Names are also very important in the transgender community. The name Caitlyn Jenner was selected as the official 2015 Name of the Year by the American Name Society, as that was the name she chose after transitioning from Bruce. We'll talk more about this topic later in the show. So let's talk about names and gender, how it's evolved, renaming, and what are called crossover names, when names jump from one side of the charts to the other.
In the binary system, you mean?
Yes, in the binary system, which means the designation of male-female. It's difficult nowadays to categorize names in the binary system since many are used for both genders. And this has become more prevalent since the women's movement in the late 1960s, early 70s. Parents started giving their female babies crossover names, possibly to put them on the same playing field, so to speak, as males.
But rarely does it happen the other way around. Traditionally, it's been more acceptable in our Western culture to have more male traits than female. Historically, females were considered the weaker sex or prissy, shallow, and emotional. Traits identified with males were strength, leadership, practicality. Now, we all know this is a bunch of hooey.
Hooey indeed. But that's why no one laughs at a woman in pants, but they'll still laugh at a man in a skirt. No one blinks an eye at a woman named Dylan, but there's a whole song about a man named Sue. We talked about that in our Names and Songs episode. Anyway, has there ever been a boy named Sue?
I don't know any, but I know a guy named Ashley.
I have several male friends who have names that are associated with females in our current culture. But remember, a lot of what we consider, quote, female names first started out as male names.
Like mine, Mallory.
Yep. I have a good friend, Allison, who's male, who actually wrote an essay about growing up with a, quote, girl's name. I'll repost that on my blog on babynames.com. It's really great. Allison is a screenwriter and filmmaker in Hollywood, and he says that Hollywood wannabes have actually tried to drop his name, saying they know Allison, but then they use the wrong pronoun, her.
Mm-hmm.
I also know a man named Lauren, and the other day when he was introducing himself, I heard him say Lauren spelled the girl's way. That's Lauren.
Why did he say that?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess because many males now spell it Loren. And finally, I have a really good friend, Gale, who was born in the mid-30s. His name was spelled Gail on his birth certificate, but he changed the spelling to Gale when he turned 18, right before he went into the service. He said he was always embarrassed that he had the girl's spelling.
Other names, like mine, that started out on the male side that we now consider female, are Ashley, like the guy I knew.
Like Ashley Wilkes in Gone with the Wind. Ashley, Ashley, don't you love me?
No one loved Scarlett. That was the sad thing.
I know.
All right. So in that same category are Courtney, Whitney, Francis. The IS spelling is male. ES is considered female. Marion, John Wayne's original name was Marion Morrison, and that's Marion with the O-N.
Right.
Carol, like Carol O'Connor. Dale, Aubrey, Beverly, and Dana, like Dana Carvey.
Yeah. Also Skylar, Hillary, Kelsey, Lindsay, Lynn, and might I add, many of these are British names.
Angel, which in Spanish-speaking cultures is traditionally a male name, pronounced Angel.
So back in 2008, when we published our first book, the One in a Million Baby Name book, plug, I intentionally didn't divide the names by gender. I went over this with our editor over at Penguin. First, at that time, there were already so many names that were considered unisex or crossover, used by both genders, that I had a conundrum. Do I designate the gender that the name was originally, or put them in both sections, or have a unisex section? I know from our feedback that parents feel really strongly about this issue. If they named their son Jordan, for example, and we happen to have designated that as a unisex name, we will get a strongly worded email. There are still people who feel it's shameful to give a boy a name that's also used for girls.
And that's just unfortunate.
I know, it is. And I couldn't possibly duplicate the name for both genders because if you've seen our book, it's already huge. It's like 5 pounds and over 600 pages. It would have been crazy big if we had duplicated names. So I decided not to have boy-girl sections, although there are gender designations beside each name. And those were determined to be the primary gender for which the name was currently used.
Well, we still got feedback saying that people wish the book would have been divided by gender.
Exactly. You can't please everyone, I guess. You know, if we published a new edition, I still would do it the same way, and maybe even remove the gender designations beside each name. Wouldn't that blow their minds?
Yeah, Well, let's talk about some celebrities that have used crossover names for their children. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have a daughter named James, which is becoming more popular for females. And you know what? Blake is a crossover name too.
Definitely, yeah.
And Canadian actor Brendan Fair is the father of 3 girls, Ondine, Allison, and James Olivia.
Yeah, James is crossing over, and I think it's because Jamie is so popular for both genders that it kind of morphed into James being on the girls' side as well. Actor Kelsey Grammer, and Kelsey is a crossover name as well, is a father to 6 children. 2 of his daughters have traditionally male names, Spencer and Mason. Jessica Simpson named her daughter Maxwell Drew in 2012. Actress Lindsay Sloan from the original Sabrina also named her daughter Maxwell.
Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher named their daughter Wyatt. Sean Penn and Robin Wright named their daughter Dylan. Kristen Bell and Dax Shepard named their daughter Lincoln.
I love that, and I'd love to talk to them about that name choice.
T-Pain and Amber named their son Cadence, spelled Kaydnz, a musical name usually given to females when it's spelled Cadence.
That spelling, though, ugh. Christy Brinkley and Peter Cook named their daughter Sailor, which, like we said, is an occupational name, but traditionally a male occupation. Holly Marie Combs and David Donahoe named their son Kelly, which is a very common boy's name in Ireland. Brooke Shields and Chris Henchy named their daughter Rowan, as in Atkinson.
Diane Keaton named her daughter Dexter, adopted in 1996.
I love the name Dexter. I never thought of that for a female, but that's pretty cool.
Johnny Knoxville has a daughter, Arlo.
And remember when actor Jason Lee named his son Pilot Inspector? What a hullabaloo.
How could we forget?
That was added to all the kooky baby name lists. So 10 years later, when he had a baby girl with wife Jaren Alkak, that's a Turkish name, by the way, which means gazelle, they kept the baby's name pretty secret. And it turns out they named her Casper Alice. Since then, Jason and Jaren have had a second child together, a son named, appropriately, Sonny. That's about as genderized as you can get. Also, and can I just interject, I could never understand why a parent would use the name Guy or Guy in French. It's kind of like not naming your child. Hey, Guy.
Well, not unless you're using Guy. Hey, Guy.
Hey, Guy.
Let's see. Alanis Morissette and Mario Soleil Treadway have a son named Ever, while actor Robert Carradine named his daughter Ever. That's one of those names that was a word and gender neutral. Surnames like Addison, Madison, Jordan, Finn, Quinn, Lennon, Riley, Bailey, they all tend to be used by both genders as well, even though many of them literally mean son of.
Yeah, and that's the same with place names, too, like Paris, Dakota, Brooklyn, etc., etc. But you see a pattern here with celebrity crossover names. They're mostly daughters named traditionally male names. Now, in the Latin languages, all nouns have genders, something we don't have in English. So that concept was hard for me to learn when I first started taking Spanish. The basic rule was if the word ended in A, it was feminine, O, it was masculine, which translated to names and seeped its way into American culture. Of course, there are exceptions like El Dia, the day, which is masculine, but La Semana, the week, feminine. But names that end in A were historically considered more feminine until recently. Luca, a variation of Luke, Italian, is a great example of a name high on the male charts with an A ending, whereas there are names ending in O that are on the female side like Marlo and Coco, but they are very few and far between. However, in Japanese naming, traditionally names ending in O are often female, like Yoko, Kotono, and Yumiko.
Our sister Sue, who's addicted to the Turkish TV soaps, says many Turkish names are cross-gendered, like Deniz, D-E-N-I-Z, which is used as we use Dennis for boys and Denise for girls. Others are changed slightly for gender. Nihan is a girl's name, but Nihat is a boy's name.
Sue and her Turkish stories. I have to start watching them too because she swears they are amazing and the guys are hot, hot, hot.
Yes, the men from Turkic countries won out at the gene pool, I think. So we talked about Caitlyn Jenner and her new name. Renaming is incredibly important in the trans community because names are so identified with gender. A majority do change their name as part of the transition. This could be for many reasons. They want to shed their old identity, or the name is too binary, tied too much to the gender in which they don't identify, or it just doesn't fit them anymore.
Yes, some just go through the naming process like expecting parents. They pour through baby naming sites like babynames.com to see which names they feel fit the best. Some use the name chosen by their parents if they had been born the gender in which they identify. Some use names that have a special meaning to them, a mentor or famous person with which they admire or identify. And once they do change their name legally and see it on their ID, it's a powerful and emotional moment.
And many trans people even have naming ceremonies for themselves, a positive and affirming celebration of their new selves. Remember the Vanity Fair cover with Caitlyn Jenner? The headline was "Call Me Caitlyn." The name is as important as pronouns when it comes to how people identify you in your transition. Caitlyn said, "As soon as the Vanity Fair cover came out, I was free."
Actor Chaz Bono was originally named Chastity by parents Sonny and Cher. I thought that was a horrible name to begin with. Talk about expectation names. I believe Chaz was his nickname throughout his life, and he just made it official when he transitioned.
Actress Laverne Cox, best known for her role on Orange is the New Black, was born Roderick Laverne Cox, and the late Alexis Arquette of the famous Arquette family was born Robert Alexis Arquette, so they both took their middle names.
Candace Kane, actress, author, and trans activist, originally was named Brendan, so that's a bit similar. Brendan and Candace both have two syllables and the ND in the middle. Comedian and actor Ian Harvey doesn't reveal his birth name, which is his prerogative. Some transgendered people even call it their dead name and just want to leave it behind them.
If you are transgendered or transitioning and have a story about how you chose your name, please share it with us at podcast@babynames.com. We also want to hear from you if you are non-transgender and are changing your name and want to share your story as well.
Yeah. And the point is, it really doesn't matter. As gender has been revealed to be a spectrum like sexuality, more and more names will be designated as unisex or non-gendered. And I've already made it a point to start de-emphasizing gender on our site to show our commitment and support for gender equality.
Okay, then.
And now it's time for Celebrity Baby News.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that. Let me do it. 2. 1, 2, 3. Hilary Duff and husband musician Matthew Coma had their baby on October 25th, our dad's birthday. It was a girl, wait for it, named Banks Violet Bear. Banks Bear. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Banks will join brother Luca, who's 6, from Hilary's previous marriage to hockey player Mike Comrie.
I think Banks Bear is a great CEO name.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those surnames used as first names that could be gender neutral.
That's right. Actress Diane Kruger and The Walking Dead star Norman Reedus welcomed their first child, but no other information has been released. This is Diane's first child, but Norman has a 19-year-old son. We remember Mingus Reedus with ex Helena Christensen. It'll be interesting to hear what their new baby is named.
Definitely. Pingus Reedus. Anyway, singer-songwriters Chris and Morgan Stapleton announced that they're expecting again. Morgan is pregnant with their 5th child, just 7 months after delivering twin boys, Macon and Samuel. Chris and Morgan currently have 3 sons and 1 daughter.
Woo-wee. Josh Brolin and his wife Catherine welcomed their first child, a baby girl, named Westlyn Rain, Reign Brolin. Josh has 2 adult children, son Trevor, who's 30, and Eden, who is 24.
One of my favorite actresses, Gabrielle Union, and her husband, basketballer Dwayne Wade, welcomed their first child, a baby girl, via surrogate. In her book, We're Gonna Need More Wine, Gabrielle discussed her infertility struggles and revealed that she had multiple miscarriages. Dwayne has 3 older children from previous relationships. Gabrielle is calling her Miracle Baby, although no name has been officially released.
Alfonso Ribeiro, best known for playing Carlton on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, is expecting his 3rd child with his wife, Angel Ribeiro. The new baby will join big brothers Alfonso Jr., who's 5, and Anders, who's 3. Ribeiro also has a 15-year-old daughter named Sienna with ex-wife Robin Staple. Speaking of Carlton, did you know it's hip to do the Carlton dance again? Google it.
I think because he did it on Dancing with the Stars, which is
perhaps
pretty cool.
That's right.
Food Network star Molly Ye has a bun in the oven. See what I did there?
Ha ha ha.
Molly is expecting her first child with husband Nick Hagan. Ye says she'll share more about her pregnancy on Sunday's season 2 premiere of her show, Girl Meets Farm. Molly and husband, by the way, met when they were both music majors at Juilliard, and they got married in 2014. Kate Upton had a baby girl, she announced via Instagram, with husband Justin Verlander. The 26-year-old model says they named the baby Genevieve Upton Verlander.
I like that.
Yeah, I do too. I like Genevieve. It's a form of my name. The couple just recently celebrated their 1-year wedding anniversary.
Yeah, Jenny Verlander sounds good. Genevieve Verlander sounds good.
I like all the V's. 3 V's in that name.
Exactly. I like it. Coronation Street star Jenny McAlpine gave birth to a baby girl. For all the Yanks who don't know what Coronation Street is, it's a long-running soap in the UK. The actress hinted she might name the child after a character on the soap, and she named her Hilda, possibly after the character Hilda Ogden played by Jean Alexander from 1964 to 1987. Jenny herself plays Fizz on the show.
Red Sox outfielder Mookie Betts and girlfriend Brianna welcomed their first child on Tuesday, a girl. He sure did have a great couple of weeks, won the World Series, and became a dad. It doesn't get any better than that. No name has been released yet, but how about Red?
Red Betts? Nah, how about Pookie?
Pookie and Mookie?
Yep.
Okay.
For details about these stories and up-to-the-minute celebrity baby news, visit the Celebrity Baby blog on babynames.com. Just click Celebrity in the menu.
And now it's time for the Baby Names Mailbag, taking questions from you, our listeners. Do you want to do the first one?
Sure. Dear Jennifer and Mallory, I'm a writer and have been a big fan of your website for years.
Hooray!
I encountered the name Dawa in the Disney wildlife documentary Born in China, where it's the name given to the mother snow leopard. According to Wikipedia, it's a Tibetan name meaning moon or month. However, I was curious as to whether it's used as a Chinese name as well, since I would have expected the names the filmmakers chose to be Chinese. I'm planning on giving the names to one of my characters, and I'd love to know more about it, especially as I'm of Chinese descent myself. Thank you, Amy Cassandra Lynn.
Well, Dawa is a place name in China, but I've never heard of it being a name. The Dawa district is a district in the city of Panjin and central Liaoning province of northeast China. But I'm not sure if it has any direct translation in Chinese. Mal, maybe we can ask your daughter, Veronica? She's the Chinese expert in our family.
Definitely. We sure can give it a try, although she's speaking German now more than she's speaking Chinese. I couldn't find a meaning for it either, so I will ask Veronica. I do think it's very pretty, and I like the given meaning of moon or month, and I think Dawa is the way to go.
It is a Tibetan name used for both genders, and as she said, it means like the time between moons or month. And it's great that we get so many writers to our website. I love that.
I do too. I think it's great. It shows that babynames.com isn't just for expecting parents. Like we said before, it's for people who may be wanting to rename themselves or name characters, name pets.
Or just have a baby names obsession like me.
Or just have a baby names obsession.
We're name enthusiasts.
All right, name enthusiasts.
Okay, our second letter. Hi, Mallory and Jennifer. I've been listening to your podcast through my pregnancy, and I love it. My husband and I are expecting our first baby at the end of November, and we've decided to wait until the baby is born to find out the sex. Now, we have a few girl names picked out, but are very short on boy names. Right now, our favorite for boys are Grady and Bodie, B-O-D-E. We both really like Bodie and love the nickname Bo. However, we heard that Bodie is trending, and we don't want to choose a name that may become extremely popular soon. Do you think this name will start topping the charts? Or is it just that it was unknown and has grown rapidly in popularity, so now it's familiar to people? We chose the spelling B-O-D-E because we like it and also to avoid possible cultural appropriation using B-O-D-H-I. Ooh, they're listening to us. Wow. Also, we are wondering if names ending in a Y or E-E-E sound are too much like nicknames. I think it depends on the name, but would love to know your opinions. Thanks so much, Mama and Papa Chantrell. So I looked it up, the popularity of the name Bodie, all three spellings, B-O-D-E, I-E, and O-D-H-I. And they have jumped up since the year 2000, but they're going up and down from year to year, hovering around 1,000. And on our charts, with all the combined spellings, if we combine the stats, it's still around number 200. So I don't see it jumping to the top of the charts anytime soon. Now, I have a friend named Grady, and I love the name, although I think Grady Chantrell is a little difficult to say because of the two R's. Bodhi Chantrell kind of is more mellifluous, as one would say, or musical. What do you think, Mal?
I like Bodhi Chantrell better than I like Grady Chantrell. I like the name Grady. I have a friend named Grady. Grady Chantrell sounds something out of Gone with the Wind. I will tell you, it's extremely old-fashioned, extremely like something out of Atlanta. And if that's what you're after, then that might be what might make the decision for you. Do you want to go old-fashioned? Do you want to be, 2018? So if you want to be 2018, if you want to be current, go with Bodhi. If you want to be old-fashioned.
Probably 2019.
2019, right. If you want to be current, go with Bodhi. If you want to be old-fashioned, go with Grady. That's absolutely my recommendation.
That's good advice, and I agree. We agree.
Woo!
A couple more things before we wrap up. If you are enjoying the show, please take a moment to rate and review us. It helps others find the Baby Names podcast. Remember, if you love us, rate us.
But not if you hate us. And join us in our Facebook group to talk about this and other Baby Names topics.
That's facebook.com/groups/Baby Names podcast. Stay tuned for our next show in a couple weeks about musical names and name rhythm.
Ooh.
That'll be interesting. Thanks for joining me, Mal. I love you.
Love you too, and we love our big sisters, Kate and Sue.
Kate and Sue. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and keep coming back.
Bye.